It's February 24th. Not February. It came out in February, January. Let me see what month it is. All right, well, it is. Oh, Jesus, man. All right, look. This is synchronistic. It's that pink up there. I don't know what was playing. Okay, no, it's January. I don't know why I kept saying February. In fact, I even wrote February in my book that I wrote to Arden. But it's January. But I just finished writing you, Arden, my second book, my second letter. And look, I went to a doctor, and they put not silver nitrate, but nitrous. Maybe it was nitrous oxide on some spots, like right there. No. And over here and stuff like that. Instead of make it go away. But look, okay, so that's synchronistic for me because the lavender color, it looks kind of like pink. But when I went and got you a flower today, and I'm going to show it to you after I read this, okay? Your first book that I wrote you. Your first letter that I wrote you. Which is on several days, but I put all the letters in one book. And so, that's synchronistic because of the color. Alright? And so, now, I'm going to read you this, alright? Real quick here. Monday, January 19th, 2026. Dear Arden, I had a dream today before I woke up. I was at my grandma and grandpa's Robin's house. Their names were Jim and... Okay, I just have to make some corrections here. Not Jim or Eileen. Jim and Eileen. Jim and Eileen. Oh, no. Okay, Jim or... Okay. Jim or James and Eileen. I am not sure if that is the correct spelling, but her name is on the chess or checkerboard I made for your dad when he was a young boy. People called my grandma Robbins Peggy or Peg. I had a great grandma and her last name was Bird. I remembered when she told me that the robins and the birds got together and made me. My grandma was the first one who showed me the robins, who are birds, nice birds with red bellies. And a lot of robins, birds, would fly and land around her house on the corner of Jefferson Street in Valparaiso, Indiana. I was dreaming that I was helping them solve a problem with their sewage drain that wouldn't drain. Some brothers came to help me. They were the same brothers that came from Florida to Virginia to help me pull the motor out of an old famous car I got for your dad when it broke down and we had to fix it. The strange thing is that there was another brother that I knew in my dream, but in this life he doesn't exist. Now that is very odd. I knew him in my dream, but not in this life. Smiley face. I told you I was a space traveler. One time I even learned how to fly an airplane in my dream. And when the plane wasn't running right in the motor, my friend in this life, well, he is an old friend I don't talk to anymore, whose name is Robert, but he changed it to Elijah. He told me the problem is usually in the intake. I have been told things in my dreams that nobody ever told me or even showed me in this life. People learn many things in their dreams. I can also tell you that one of your great-great-great-grandpas on the Witten side invented the tennis ball racket stringer, and one from the Mueller side designed the logo or sign for a gas station sign. I think it was called Gulf Oil, but I don't see them anymore. You could also be an inventor when you grow up too. You can even start inventing things now if you try. Always pay attention to your dreams. When you can write, would you tell me about your dreams and what you think? And I will be very happy to know that. Love you. Thank you, Grandpa. You know, Iris. Your middle name is Iris. You know, Iris. You never can control what people besides yourself feel or think, but you can try. Sometimes it works and sometimes it does not work. There was a young boy once who set out to write down every brilliant thing. So after he learned how to write, every time he discovered a brilliant thing, and brilliant means very bright or radiant, and it can also mean a good idea that makes people happy. Every time he discovered a brilliant thing that made people happy, he wrote it down on a piece of paper and kept it in a box. As time went on, he had a whole box of brilliant things, like watching cartoons on Saturday morning, drinking hot cocoa on a cold day, honeybees going from flower to flower to make them do their job of making fruit and for them so they can make honey, dogs barking to let you know something, shaving sheep so they aren't so hot and we can have clothes to wear, sweeping the floor to make it pretty for your family, going swimming on a hot day to cool off and have fun, using old boxes to make a house, making pretty music on the drums I sent you. Hint, hint. The drums I sent you. Well, I know you and your mom and your dad. Well, I know you can think of many brilliant things. Some you can even make to put in your room or on a Christmas tree or window or wall for decoration. See, I told you we can make all kinds of light and brilliant things to make people happy if you try. Some brilliant things shine like sunshine and stars in our hearts. That's why we love them and adore them so much, and we never want them to go away. Having a friend or a mom and dad or brother or sisters is a brilliant thing. Sometimes they go away and that can make us sad. Although we cannot control everything, we can control how we feel and what we think, and try to be brilliant like God shows us in the sun and moon and stars and flowers and grass and birds singing and bees buzzing. There are so many things God gave us in life to make us happy. God must be brilliant. That also means loving. It is a wonderful life, isn't it? One day the boy's mom was very sad, and she was so sad, so sad she wanted to die. The boy's mom, had what we call a broken heart. It looks something like that, if you can imagine it. Our heart has to keep us happy, and that also means our feelings. Sometimes people can't fix their own heart. God made it that way because we have to help each other be happy. That's why God teaches us about love and how to give each other friendship. It is a very brilliant thing, like the warm sunshine or pretty stars at night, honeybees and birds singing or crickets chirping. They tell us that. Sally came up to me, also told me, so just told me that. Sally came up to me also. They came up to me also and told me, so I just told me that. And told me that, whatever, just a bit ago. Well, that boy's mom went to the hospital and nobody could help, so he put all his brilliant things in a box and made it like a present with a ribbon and bow and everything to cheer her up, to wake her up, to snap her out of it, to snap her out of her sad broken heart. Arden, Iris, not all things have a happy ending, but we must do our best and try. A broken heart takes time to grow back together again. We have to be patient. We must always hold our peace and hold our power and pray and hope and try to believe for the best and try to make things better, like a cup of hot cocoa on a cold day. And like your mom or your dad kisses your hurt. That is what brilliant is for real. That is what being brilliant is for real. Love is the most brilliant thing God ever made for us. Sometimes it comes softly like the kiss from heaven that comes from the boy's heart to his mom. She read all of them and it made her heart go back together again. There's a train. Since life is not always sunshine and butterflies, it behooves me, Arden, to send you some flowers so you can remember this story. I am sending you some flowers. And when I can, I'm going to send you my pup's paw prints, because they are very brilliant and make me happy too. But first, here are some flowers for you. Next page. Because you are like a flower to me. Sally just came over to smell them. Haha. Now here comes Mr. T. Even though Sally can't see, she can still smell. Tuesday, February 3rd. Okay, I gotta fix it to January. January 3rd, 2026, 12:03 p.m. Dear Arden, I took a break from writing you because I had to write your mom and dad. I'm going to write you a Bob Dylan song and Dietrich Bonhoeffer prayer as I planned in a bit, but actually I think Dietrich Bonhoeffer also said it, but it really come from Reinhold Niebuhr, the Prayer of Serenity. Okay, but I said Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Okay, as I planned in a bit, I'm also going to tell you about the plaque I plan on making for you. I will also tell you some secret scientific stuff. I have had some secret scientific stuff. I have had I have had 4 captains in my life so far: Jesus, Buddha, Sun Tzu, and science. I told you about the symbols, although I did not explain them all in the last book I wrote you. I told you about the symbols, but I did not explain them all. Pi is another one. Pi is actually a Greek letter from the Greek alphabet. I studied Greek for 4 years. My dad, your great-grandpa, studied Latin. Latin is a language they still use for certain scientific and medical terminology, but it is now considered a dead language because people don't talk it anymore. Finally, I can write you without freezing. Finally, I can write to you without freezing. It was freezing all last night, but I was fully clothed except for my shoes. Plus, I had on 2 hoodies and hoodie hats tied up, plus a pillow from my head and a thick blanket stretched over me, like a tent from head to toe. All my pups are out here with me, basking in the sunshine. I have the book I am writing you with on top of a plastic garbage can turned upside down. That plastic can and chair I'm writing you using complement I'm using complement each other perfectly, and the sun feels great. And that was yesterday. I saw the Florida sun where you live. I say, the Florida sun where you live. I don't know. I say the Florida sun. But where you live, I am sure it is much colder, and you could not suffer the winter without heat like me, because you would certainly freeze to death. I was going to say your great-grandpa Robbins, Don Henry was his name. He trained for a job with the Ford Motor Company and worked until he was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. The doctors told him if he took their treatment, he would have about 1 year to live. Don Henry Robbins had to do mathematical and calculus equations for his work, algebra and calculus, geometry, trigonometry, and other such things all fall under the rubric of advanced mathematics. Advanced mathematics use symbols to represent things and to show that some things that are different are so intrinsically related that they equal each other. Energy and mass, for example, are 2 different things, but in actuality, they are one and the same. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientific thinkers, made or introduced a new way of understanding this concept when he said E, which stands for energy, is equal to M, which stands for mass, in mc squared, okay? And M and C are right next to each other. And mc squared, mass and the speed of light times the speed of light squared, okay? And that goes like that. This phone that I'm using here turns things backwards sometimes. I don't know why. So you have to read it in reverse. But it's E equals mc squared. Okay? Now, see, you have to be a real scientist to know how to use these secret formulas. Speaking of secret, I have a few secrets that I can tell you, but you have to keep it under hat. That's in quotation marks because it means under hat means like in your head, you know, away from everybody else. Under hat. Okay, that means, you know, like private, and only tell people that you can trust with a secret, because some people like to make fun of other people's secrets because they are jealous not having any of their own. Some people, about the only secrets they have are when they are mean to somebody behind their back. But I will tell you one secret that all my 4 captains know. And this is the way the Buddha told it. 3 things are certain to rise: the sun, the moon, and the truth. So this is my number 1 secret. I'm telling you, when God speaks to us, we know it inside. And God speaks to us in many ways. I think that God speaks mostly in what's called words to the heart. That doesn't come in like the English or Spanish, Japanese or Chinese or Portuguese, Greek, Hebrew or Aramaic or Latin or French or even caveman language. Okay? See, when God speaks to us, we know what God says, even though no words are ever spoken. And mostly crazy people are the ones who actually hear words. People with brain disorders, in particular schizophrenics. They hear voices in their heads to do bad things. When God speaks to us, we might see something or hear something and just know what God says to us. Some people call things like that signs and wonders. Well, signs usually do make us wonder. And we have to both wonder and explore. That's why I'm sending you a storybook about wondering. The lady who wrote the book for her daughter also wrote one called Consciousness for adults, because she is a scientist. Just like I know you are also going to be in your own right. I'm sure when I heard your name, Arden, I immediately thought to myself, oh my God, you're going to save the ocean. I knew that in my heart. Well, the ocean is like Mama Earth's heart. I think I already told you that. I don't know what it all means. Like the ocean means more than just the water. It should be that I wrote that. It should be than just the water. It could mean all the creatures, all the other living organisms and things. You might even be first to discover. I will also send you the inner reaches of outer space, because the ocean actually came from outer space. It was like a big asteroid crashed into Mother Earth, and then the sun melted it. That's how things started growing. And then one day, about, I said 450 billion years ago, but it should actually be 4.5 billion years ago. 4.5 billion years ago. All right. But who's counting? 4.5 billion years ago, the very first sprout came up out of the ground. A very, very happy face, and opened up to the sun with a smile. So God spoke to that plant, and it opened up. It flowered. That was when flowers were born. It all came from outer space. And that, Arden, has to do with E equals MC squared. E equals MC squared was also used to make the nuclear fission and nuclear fusion incendiary, which means fire, bombs. Like when Japan attacked America, and then America exploded Nagasaki and Hiroshima with a hydrogen bomb and another kind of bomb. I think they were used two different kinds of bombs, and it killed everybody with extreme radiation blasts and fire with unbreathable smoke. They saw the horrifying mushroom cloud of the atomic blast, and then the world said, no more nuclear war. If we have more nuclear war, the smoke will cover the sun, and not only we, but all the flowers, the pretty smiling flowering flowers, will smile no more and die. Please, Arden, keep that knowledge as a secret close to your heart forever, because your life may depend on it, and the lives of everyone you love. I just moved for my third time to stay in the warm rays of the sun. After the sun sets and the night sky brings forth the blanket of night, the moon and the stars, I will put my jackets back on, and although my body might get cold, my heart will stay warm, because I will say, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Some people say what you are, but I say where you are. How I wonder where you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Look, some people say what you are, some people say where you are. I say where you are because we know what they are. But where they are is another wondrous sign. Although because we only see the light, not the fiery bulb making the light. Light goes, 670,616,629 miles per hour fast. So you see, light comes a long, long way to see us. That's how fast light travels in a vacuum. The vacuum of space. And while I'm at it, one more secret is that something comes from nothing. So we have today what they call matter and antimatter. I swear on my life, Arden, when you start learning about these things, you will not only be amazed, I'm sure you will bow your heart and pray, then open your eyes towards God or all God has created and say, wow, and thank you. Anyway, I think you will be a space traveler like me in your dreams and explore the depths of Mama's heart and all the black holes, galaxies, nebulae in Papa's cosmoses, outer space. They say by definition God is all-powerful, omnipotent, all-knowing, omniscient, and everywhere at once, omnipresent. That is another secret from me to you. Certain people like us are what you call in the know. So God will never be so close to you as when God is in your heart. Mostly, your heart is where God wants to live. Living in outer space is kind of boring to God because all things considered, a person's heart is what matters most. The loves and the wars of the ages are really fought and decided in the hearts of women and men. And all children everywhere should be taught at least this much. So, I would be remiss if I did not tell you so. One more secret I have to tell you is this. I have given you a secret name. Some people that go out on a mission, for example, in the old days, would be knighted or dubbed with a special name. My special name for you is Bomba Rose. Yep, that's what I will call you in addition to your given name. Every name means something. Your dad told me Arden came from something in Shakespeare. Your name Arden came from something in Shakespeare's stories, and I already know that. And I already know that Iris is a part of your eye. And those two names together mean something. That's why they call you Arden Iris. That being understood, there comes a time in a person's life when they might have to enter what is called covert operations. And you can't use your real name for security purposes. Or you can have what's called a nickname or an alias that those closest to you know, and it may be that only one person in your family might call you that name. That means that name is known as a term of endearment. My mom called your Aunt Amber Bambi. Nobody else did except her or my mom's sisters, but that's because that's what her grandma always called her, and she took care of her when I was off protecting our country in war in the Gulf, aka Operation Desert Storm and Operation Desert Shield. Also known as, quote unquote, also known as. That means sometimes names are even classified, so only certain people really know the reference. That referring to something by using secret code. That name don't even have to be anything special, but it can be. Like, I can think of a lot of alias names. Think of all the superheroes like Storm, Wolverine, Catwoman, and Batman. The list goes on and on. One of my favorite heroes was Underdog. You also have Popeye the Sailor Man. When I was a young boy, my dad called me Rink. R-I-N-K, Rink. And so did my stepbrothers. But I did not use that name anywhere else, only with people at his house. I was told he had a friend called Rink when I was young. I don't know why I got the nickname Hoodie. I don't know why. I can't remember why, but I liked it. It was special, and only close friends of mine called me that, either Hoodie or Hood. One time, a friend of mine whose name was Mike Verhag started calling me Thad Hideous, like Thaddeus, which is the name Thad comes from, but my mom named me Thad Allen. Well, he played a joke on me because he called me that name for a long time, like maybe 3rd and 4th grade or maybe 5th grade. But when my cousins told me that hideous meant ugly, I was very, very embarrassed and ashamed. I got him back though, because my mom had a pet flop-eared rabbit. On Easter, I collected his rabbit turds that are like little round balls. Some are hard and crunchy, and some are more juicy. I took my Easter chocolate and melted it down in a pot and covered the rabbit turds in chocolate and gave them to him and some other people to eat. I asked him if he liked the crunchy or soft ones best. He said they were pretty good and asked where I got them from. I said I just made them, and when he asked how I made them, I was very, very happy to tell him I made them from rabbit turds. He said, amazing, and then started gagging, sticking his finger in his mouth. He didn't hate me for it, though, because he had tricked me with that name, Thad Hideous. He thought my trick was so awesome, he wanted to see if we could even chocolate cover a cat turd. We tried to see if we could pass it off as a candy bar to my younger brother, Scott, but he didn't fall for it because he didn't trust us. Scott was 3 years younger than me, but he was also very clever and secretly spied on what we were up to. So I'm making a special thing for you now. I went to the flower shop and fetched a lavender rose because I was talking to you about the time when that first flower opened up to the sun 4.5 billion years ago, give or take. You know, it's an approximation. I sprayed it and have it hanging upside down now. I'm only preserving it for now as I figure out how I'm going to make my thing for you covered in epoxy resin. It will be hard and lasting for you to keep as a reminder of the name your grandpa, that is me, Thad Allen, dubbed and knighted you as Bomba Rose. Bomba comes from my new socks. Look. Bomba. I don't know if you can see it. Bomba comes from my new socks name, except the socks are called Bombas with an S. I looked up to see what Bomba meant when I went to the doctor. The doctor gave me these socks to wear for some reason because I had some high blood pressure from smoking. But I already decided not to smoke no more, because while it can cure depression, it can also make you die. And I got more happy when you were born, and also I feel God whispered your secret name into my ear. Yeah, put my sheet back on. It's pretty cold. I also knew, okay. I knew when your dad, let's see. Okay, like I knew when your dad told me your name that you were gonna save the ocean. I also knew after I heard that word, Bomba, from Bombas, it was supposed to go before Rose, because it should be you are. Because you're like a rose flower to me. And Bomba means a traditional music style and associated dances of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is also dear to me for reasons I can't go into right now. But it is the dance of the rose. The dance of the rose. That's what Bomba Rose means. The dance of the rose. And you are the dance and music of the rose to me, Bomba Rose. Always remember this, Bomba Arden. A secret name also carries secret messages. So inasmuch as I know about the dance at the still point of the turning world, and the silence between the notes makes the music, a poet named T.S. Eliot also said this for our secret journey in life as we make music and dance, and that is, to arrive where you are not, you must go through the way in which you are not. Where what you do not know is all that you know, and where you are is where you are not. So now I will write you forever young. My prayer for you. May you build a ladder to the sky. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay forever young. Forever young, forever young. Please, may God help you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright, and be strong. And may you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift. May your heart always be joyful, and your song always be sung. And may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Dietrich Bonhoeffer also prayed this prayer, but Reinhold Niebuhr actually authored it. Most people only know the abbreviated version, but I will write for you, my darling Bomba Rose, Niebuhr's version in full. God give us the grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed. Courage to change the things that should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it or have it be. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Niebuhr was a Nazi resistor in Germany during the Holocaust. On the next page, I'm going to write my draft to you, Arden Bomba Rose, as I see or envision it. Like this. As I see it. Since I basically filled up this book and I wrote to your mom and dad, I'm going to reserve the last few pages for after as I make my rose plaque for you. And I know now your family has all 3 panda drums. I sent you to make music together with. Love, Grandpa. I know this thing puts stuff backwards. I don't know why. But anyway. No. Okay, so this is now today. Wednesday, February 24th. But it should be January. January 24th. 2026, 4:24 a.m. I don't know what time it is now, but probably a little past 5. Dear Arden, I just woke up from a dream. I was became friends with this black guy, and we would meet up on the road, and stop and talk. One day, well, first I should say, in my dream, I didn't know who my real father was, or my father for that matter. My friend was black skinned, but he said his father was white skinned. Then in my dream, I found out that my father was a black-skinned man. I never would have thought it because I had white skin. When we met again, I smiled at him and told him, you know what? You're black and had a white dad, and I'm white, and I just found out my dad was black. As we did a fist bump. I said, I guess we are brothers, more than we know. When I woke up, I remembered a line I wrote in a poem once. It can't be what you can't see, or can it? I think maybe it can, but you won't find it in the words from this pen. Here's a story I did tell about the air that I breathe like a piped-in well. You got something going, you started it all, what I can remember, what I can recall. I recall this true story. It's when my Aunt Toot, her real name was Aunt Betty, my dad's sis. I was at my grandma and grandpa's house in Valpo. That's what they called Valparaiso, Indiana, where the Robbins family cemetery is. And they have a lot of unnamed soldiers in that cemetery, and a Wheeler family. Wheeler was your dad's last name at birth. I asked his mom, your Grandma Karen, to give your dad my last name, but she wanted him to take John Rawlinson's last name along with her for continuity and appearances. That hurt my feelings because I couldn't give your dad, my own son, even a name. But Amber dubbed him Coyote. Then, after telling my Aunt Toot the story why your dad's last name was different than mine, she told me these words, and that is partly why I call you Rose, more precisely Bomba Rose. Aunt Toot told me, a rose is a rose, no matter what you call it. Okay? Arden, to me, you are my darling Bomba Rose. Love, Grandpa. All right, now I'm just going to take you and I'll show you the rose that I got, okay? I got it in the bathroom because I got a little heater making it warm in here so it can dry and stuff.